What's up everybody, since once again, I want to say thank you for helping us reach 200 subscribers, but now it's time to tell you how I beat my very first randomized Nuzlocke. Nowadays, it's pretty common to see people doing Nuzlockes, and I'm no exception. I've seen so many YouTubers do this, and I haven't sat down to do one for myself, even though I've been playing Pokemon for practically my whole life now. If you don't know what a Nuzlocke is, it's basically a way to make the game more challenging for the player by adding rules that the player has to meet, the three main rules being these ones on the screen. Now, I decided to play through Pokemon Platinum since it's my favorite game in the series. However, I needed a rival. This person had to be someone that was very close to me, but I wanted to take down more than anyone else in a game meant for 10-year-olds. And that person is Delavka, aka Jay. Jay, if you're watching this, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Jay and I went to choose our starters, and the choices were between Rhydon, Luxio, and Pachirisu. For people who don't know, Jay hates Pachirisu, and so since I'm a good best friend, I decided to force him to have Pachirisu the entire game, meaning my starter was Luxio. This also came to bite me in my ass because I almost died in the very first fight. After nicknaming Luxio Yorichi, Professor Rowan decided to give me the most clutch TM, Water Spell. For some reason my Luxio could learn this move. I checked to see if it was normal, but I couldn't find anything, and when I tried with other Pokemon, it didn't work. So Luxio had Water Spell. And I'm glad it did because the amount of ground types I ran into early on was insane. Afterwards, I got the Pokeballs and went to get some encounters. However, I failed the first two and had to get some money before I made my way to the lake to get a Torchic, which I named KFC. I'm sorry, I didn't have anything better to name it. After some grinding, I was challenged by Jay. He sent out a Dragonair, but he mainly used Leer and Thunder Wave, so I was able to take it out. Then I took out his Pachirisu with Luxio with the help of Water Spout. I then got an Amistar and named it Vikkstar before I eventually died. Gibble had to move Dragon Rage, which is a run killer early on since it always does 40 damage. If I sent out Luxio on a switch, it would have lived, but I wouldn't be able to kill it with Water Spout, so I had to sack someone. And since water types are pretty common, and I wanted to eventually try to get a Blaziken, I decided to let Amistar die. I made my way to Orberg City to challenge the first gym leader, Warg. He started with the Totodile, so I one-shotted with Spark. He then sent out...
What the hell is even that?
I didn't kill it due to the sun being out, but Yorichi lived the mud shot, so I was able to take it down the next turn. He then sent out Jolteon, and since the sun was out, I decided to let KFC take it down with Ember. After earning my gym badge, I did a double battle with Dawn and made my way to Fort Warmer Town to fight Commander Mars. This battle is normally very hard, but since it's randomized and I had a Luxio with Water Spout, I was able to sweep her team pretty easily. I then got a new member on my team in Crawdad, who I named Miss Krabs. After going through the forest with Cheryl, I made it to the next city and caught a grotto named Zunisha from One Piece on Route 211, and a Charmeleon named Mushu in Mount Cornet. With my new team members, I challenged the second gym leader. She sent out Cloyster and I was about to kill her with Yorichi, but she switched to Rooper. I sent out Zunisha and he took out the Rooper. And almost killed the Cloyster as well, but it barely lived before he attacked with a Roar Beam. Zunisha lived on 1 HP though, and afterwards I switched in Yorichi and I was able to take down the Cloyster. I took out her last Pokemon with Miss Krabs, and I got my second gym badge. After I healed up, I took on Commander Jupiter and swept her team with Mushu and Zunisha. Now at this moment, I decided to backtrack and see if I can get the legendary Pokemon from the Haunted Mansion. That's when I encountered...
What the hell is even that?
Once I weakened him, I started throwing Pokeballs, and at one point it shook 3 times, but he broke out and then got a critical hit and killed Zunisha. For all my One Piece fans, I'm sorry, that one's on me. But on the bright side, I did catch Dialga, and I named him Dr. Strange. Plus, I'm sure I can find another grass type. This is obvious foreshadowing, by the way. After adding Dr. Strange to the team, I got a Pokemon egg from Cynthia, who later became a Dragonite, who I named Ryukyu, and I encountered and caught a Alakazam in Wayward Cave. For people who've seen my Bleach Pokemon series, there's only one character who I would name this after. With an even more stacked roster, the next couple of gyms were a walk in the park. I swept through Fantina, Maylene, and Wake with no problem at all. And before anyone says I have a Dialga, I rarely used it throughout this part of the game. The team was just that good even without him. I made my way to Celestia Town and I caught a Swampert. Since I feel bad I let Zunisha die, I named Swampert after Jinbei. I then battled Cyrus, the leader of Team Galactic. He had a Boltoy, a Kyogre, and a Skiploom. What a weird team to have. The Kyogre I get, but the Skiploom and Boltoy? Really, Cyrus? I made my way to Canalys City and I was challenged by Jay. He sent out an Articuno, so I switched to Mushu and I took down the Articuno with Flamethrower. I brought out Jinbei against Pachirisu, but he almost died, so I switched into Ryukyu and Pachirisu almost killed her as well. I was finally able to take down this little pest, and then he brought out Salamence. Brought out Aizen and he killed it with Blizzard. He brought up Baneri, which I thought would be easy for Yoruichi, but it got a crit Dizzy Punch and almost killed her as well. I did manage to take it out with Thunderfang, and I took out his last one with Mushu. This fight was easily one of the hardest fights in the game, and Jay had a Baneri and an Oddish. I don't even know how that makes sense. Now, although many people skip Iron Island, I decided to see what the egg would be since the last egg gave me a Dragonite. I skipped most of the trainers but had to fight some Ace trainers, and Riley only had a Pachirisu. I'm starting to realize how annoying this little shit is. After his Pachirisu died, I was left in a 1v2 and eventually Ryuku died. I know I'm gonna have hate comments for this, and I did beat them and eventually got the egg. For it to be a fucking Metapod, I took the 6th gym leader and this was fairly easy. I took out his Empoleon, Starly, and Granbull with just Yoruichi. I made my way to the lakes and took down Saturn and Mars with ease. I made my way to Snowpoint City and caught up a champ who I named Chad. I then went to the fight with Candace and was able to beat her team with our newest member. After giving Jay a pep talk,
I heard you lost your fight pretty bad. But you know what they say, when you fall off that horse, you get right back up and you eat that horse. Come eat that horse with me.
What the hell are you on about?
I made my way through the Galactic base and fought Cyrus. However, all he had was a Grovyle, an artillery, and a Hippopotamus, so I took him down pretty quickly. I then battled Saturn with his poor excuse for a team, and then made my way to Mount Coronet. Jay and I had to do a double battle with Mars and Jupiter. At first we were doing good, but Jinbei died to a Hydro Pump crit from Melodic and a Psychic from Lunetown. This one sucked the most. I didn't think he would die from these two, but that crit did a lot of damage that I wasn't expecting, and he went down. I brought out Dialga and he took care of the rest of their Pokemon. I left to replace Jinbei for Miss Krabs and then made my way to the Inverted World, aka the best thing added to this game. After exploring the Inverted World, Cyrus challenged me to a battle. He sent out Geodude and I brought out Miss Krabs, but Stone Edge almost killed her, so I switched to Dr. Strange. I used Metal Claw bringing it to yellow before he used Earthquake. Dr. Strange was able to live and I took down the Geodude. He brought out Spiritomb, but it went down to a War of Time. Cyrus then sent out an Alakazam, so I brought out my Alakazam and took his down, proving mine was superior. I had Yoruichi take down his Umbreon, and then his final Pokemon was Espeon, so I brought out Miss Krabs and finished it off with Swift. I caught the Giratina with the Master Ball, but I didn't intend on using it since I already have a Dragon type and the Giratina wasn't even randomized. I then made my way to Route 222 and caught a Scizor who I named Shino. After doing some grinding with Shino, I took on the final gym. This fight was fairly easy, but the only close call we had was with Miss Krabs living in Earthquake on 4 HP. After I made my way through Victory Road and grinded my Pokemon to take on the Elite Four, I had my final battle with Jay. However, thanks to my grinding, all my Pokemon were near the level of Cynthia's, so I was able to sweep through his team pretty easily. It was now time to challenge the Elite Four, but again, thanks to my levels, I swept through Aaron and Bertha's teams. Flitt's team was a bit harder since Tropius took forever to take down, but finally I reached Lucian and he starts out with Mewtwo. I used Crunch and got it to yellow, but then he switched to Magnemite, so I had to switch to Dr. Strange and use Earth Power. I brought out Mewtwo to handle his Bronzong since I guess he would have Levitate and not Heat Proof, and since I was correct I was able to take him down. I then took down his last 3 Pokemon with Mewtwo, which means there is only one more person I have to beat. Cynthia. She starts with Rhinout, which I knew could potentially kill one of my Pokemon if I wasn't careful. However, I took it down with Crunch, so it didn't even matter. I took out Cacnea with an X-Scissor from Shino, which Cynthia brought up Probopass, so I brought up Miss Krabs. But Miss Krabs almost died to a Discharge, so I switched back to Shino, and after getting one Sword Stand, I was able to take it down with Iron Head. I took down her Slowbro with Yoruichi, and her Paragly with Dr. Strange. Finally, Aizen took down her last Pokemon, and I won. I finally did it. My very first Pokemon Nuzlocke completed, with the best team I could have asked for. Miss Krabs the Quaddon, Aizen the Alakazam, Shino the Scizor, our starter Yoruichi the Luxray, Mushu the Charizard, and last but not least, Dr. Strange the Dialga. This was one of the most fun videos I've ever put together, so I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I will be sure to do more Nuzlockes in the future, but without further ado, I will see you guys next time.